Yes. Oh, look at a tyrant, a sovereign, a ruler, legitimate or not, who wields power unjustly and arbitrarily to oppress the citizenry. A despot. Now, this tyranny, yes, known as the police and sheriff's departments, the severe deprivation of a natural right, the federalist, arbitrary or despotic government, the severe and autocratic exercise of sovereign power, whether vested constitutionally in one ruler or usurped by the ruler by breaking down the division and distribution of the governmental powers known as tyranny. Let's say I sued you for the tyranny, yes, of refusing to enforce the requirements of the law. It sounds worse than it is. I mean, don't be vain about it. Let's say you got sued for being tyrants. You are not the legitimate sheriff, you are not the legitimate chief of police, and you are not a legitimate judge. And you're wielding power unjustly and arbitrarily to oppress myself as a citizen. Now, I know there could be some vanity involved in this. Yes. I just emailed you the tyranny of being a tyrant because of how vain you are. Now, you don't want me to talk about it. Let's say there's a lawsuit for the wielding of power unjustly, yes, and arbitrarily to oppress myself as a citizen so as to cause my death, incarceration, or involuntarily admitting myself to a mental institution. Now, arbitrarily, yes, oppressing, and then unjustly, these are all words that really speak of multitudes of billions of dollars because of the tyranny. Now, I thought I'd look up UVW. I thought I'd look up the vanity of those that are well, might be in Black's Law Dictionary. Yes. There's a vexatious. I've used that without reasonable or probable cause or excuse, harassing and annoying. Known as vexatious court proceedings where you have the actual evidence that you didn't commit a crime. Yes. You had no probable cause that I was in Brindle, Washington. And considering the 600 to 800 emails, different emails that I emailed that day, 2,000 total emails, there's no fucking possible way it could have been cyber stalking. But oh, you decided to continue with it. Now, violent felony offense, the VFO. On the redundancy of the phrase felony offense, felony offense. How many felony offense? Oh, vexatious suit, vexatious question. VHA, the Veterans Health Administration. Via Publica. Roman law. It's close to vanity, as in you have power vested in yourself because of your oath of office that you're abusing. Now, the VAWA, oh, look at that, the Violence Against Women's Act, Jack. Now, voluntary disclosure form. What if it was the involuntary issuance of a protection order that the petitioner did not voluntarily want to acknowledge? Let's say you're a tyrant. The unjust and arbitrary issuance of court orders because of your discretion saying you were protecting the women and children when the petitioner did not voluntarily acknowledge your authority as a judge. Now there's what's voluntary and involuntary. That's right. Think about it for just a second. You decided in your discretion to issue a protection order where it was involuntarily issued because the petitioner didn't acknowledge it. Your arbitrary and unjust abuse of your power because of your vanity as a court commissioner, Brent Baston. Does your hair look good today? Does it look good? Does your hair look good? Now, I know the value. There's a you. Oh my golly, vagueness doctrine. Vagabond. Yes. UGHI. Vain is not in here, Mike. There's a vagrant. Oh, is it? No, Valencia. Valor, validity, valid. Vain is not in the Black's Law Dictionary. There. Virtue of ethics, an ethical theory that focuses on the character of the actor rather than on the nature of the act or its consequences. This approach received its first and perhaps its fullest expression in the works of Aristotle. Ethics, the ethics of the involuntary issuance of court orders where there is no voluntary acknowledgement of the petitioner. Is there any possibility that there's an ethics violation here? Whatever the law wishes done. Okay. It wishes not to be done in vain, as in, it wishes that it's not unethical. Yes. Now, cubulet consentio fortissimo contra donatum interpreta est every granted made strongly interpreted against the grantor. Now, when you granted, yes, an actual court order against, well, let's look at it for a second. Because it was an involuntary granting of a court order without the acknowledgement of the petitioner. Now, there's a declaration number 18. Yeah. Then there's the decline to prosecute letter. To falsify, to make deceptive, to counterfeit, to forge, or misrepresent. Falsify, falsifiability. Now, falsifying a record. Let's say you falsified the actual court order because it was involuntarily issued against the actual wishes of the petitioner. That would be false swearing, known as perjury. It would be false report under false pretense. This is a false positive.